Did you know that some of the most unbelievable events in America's history actually happened? Events so shocking, so daring, that they changed the course of a nation forever, from secret deals that shook the government to heroic acts that risked everything. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover the moments that defined America, the moments you won't believe actually happened. Stay with me, history is about to get incredible. America's history is filled with events so shocking, so extraordinary, that they often sound like they belong in a movie. Yet, these events didn't happen on a screen. They happened in real life, shaping the country we know today. From secret alliances and daring rebellions to moments of courage that defied all odds, the story of America is a story of unbelievable events. And it all begins with sparks, moments of tension, rebellion, and audacity that lit the flame of a nation's destiny. Take, for example, the events leading up to the American Revolution. Most people think of the Revolution as a series of battles, Lexington, Concord, and Yorktown. But what's truly unbelievable is how close the colonies came to total chaos long before the first shot was fired. In 1773, a group of American patriots dressed as Mohawk Indians and boarded British ships in Boston Harbor. Their goal was simple: destroy the tea. It was a bold act of defiance against the British Empire's control over the colonies, but the audacity of this protest shocked the world. Hundreds of pounds of tea were dumped into the harbor, a financial loss so large that the British Parliament responded with severe punishment, setting the stage for a revolution. What's often forgotten is that the Boston Tea Party was not a spontaneous act of rebellion. It was meticulously planned, carried out under the cover of night, and involved a deep understanding of strategy and symbolism. The Patriots knew that their actions would provoke a response, and they were counting on it. This single act of defiance was a spark that ignited a nationwide fight for independence. Imagine the courage it took to face one of the most powerful empires in the world with nothing but your convictions and a few barrels of tea. That moment alone changed the course of history, but the American Revolution wasn't just about grand gestures. It was also about incredible acts of human bravery that defied logic. Consider the story of Sybil Ludington, a 16-year-old girl who rode more than 40 miles through the night to warn American forces that the British were advancing. Her ride is often compared to Paul Revere's more famous midnight ride. But Ludington's courage was extraordinary because she faced the darkness alone, braving the elements and the constant threat of enemy soldiers. Without her warning, many colonial towns might have fallen into British hands. Her story is one of countless lesser-known acts of heroism that made the fight for independence possible. As the revolution progressed, there were even more unbelievable twists of fate. George Washington, for example, faced overwhelming odds during the Battle of Trenton. His army had suffered defeat after defeat, morale was low, and the harsh winter threatened to break the spirits of his men. Yet, Washington planned a daring nighttime crossing of the icy Delaware River. Against all odds, his surprise attack on the Hessian forces in Trenton was a stunning success, revitalizing the American cause. The image of soldiers crossing a freezing river, with cannonballs flying and ice breaking beneath their feet, is so cinematic that it's hard to believe it actually happened, but it did. This single night changed the momentum of the war and proved that bravery, ingenuity, and timing could overcome even the most formidable challenges. And it wasn't just battles that shaped America. It was the ideas that emerged from chaos. The Declaration of Independence itself is a document born from incredible risk. Signing it meant treason against the most powerful empire on earth. The men who put their names on that parchment were gambling with their lives, knowing that capture could mean execution. Yet, they chose principle over personal safety, believing in a vision of a nation built on freedom and self-determination. The courage of these leaders is almost unimaginable today, but their risk paved the way for the birth of the United States. Moving beyond the Revolution, the early years of America were marked by equally unbelievable events. The formation of the Constitution, for example, involved intense debate, compromise, and even threats of violence. Delegates from different states argued for days, sometimes bitterly, about the balance of power between states and the federal government. What's shocking is that the document we now consider the foundation of American democracy was born from heated arguments, midnight sessions, and a constant fear that the fragile new nation could collapse before it even began. Even ordinary citizens played roles in shaping the country in ways that defy belief. In the 19th century, for instance, countless men and women risked everything to escape slavery and help others do the same through the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman, an escaped slave herself, made more than a dozen dangerous trips into the South to guide enslaved people to freedom. Her bravery was extraordinary, not just in the physical danger she faced, but in her unwavering commitment to justice. Each life she saved altered the course of history, showing how individual courage can ripple across a nation. The story of America is also full of moments when technology and innovation sparked unbelievable change. Consider the impact of the Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869. The construction involved thousands of workers facing deadly conditions, treacherous terrain, and extreme weather. The project seemed almost impossible, yet its completion united the country physically and economically in ways no one could have imagined. Towns sprang up overnight, commerce exploded, and the idea of a truly connected America became reality. It's hard to overstate how revolutionary this achievement was. It transformed the nation overnight. Even in the political arena, America's history is full of events that seem almost unreal. Take the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, which sparked the secession of southern states and led to the Civil War. Lincoln's rise to power came at a time when the country was bitterly divided, yet his leadership, vision, and determination helped preserve the Union. The stakes were unimaginably high. A single wrong decision could have destroyed the fledgling nation. Lincoln's ability to navigate these turbulent waters, make tough choices, and ultimately guide the country through its darkest hours is nothing short of extraordinary. And yet, America's history isn't just about war, politics, or industry. It's also about the cultural moments that changed the nation's identity. The Harlem Renaissance, for instance, was an explosion of art, music, and literature that gave voice to African Americans during a period of systemic oppression. The creativity and courage of these artists reshaped American culture, influencing music, literature, and even civil rights movements for decades to come. It's a reminder that unbelievable change doesn't always come from violence or politics. It can also come from the power of ideas and expression. In just this first part of our journey, we've glimpsed the sparks that ignited America. From daring protests to heroic rides, from frozen rivers to life-changing documents, the early history of the United States is a tapestry of unbelievable true events. Each moment, each act of courage, each bold idea added to the foundation of the nation. These events didn't just shape America, they shaped the very idea of what a nation could be, and this is only the beginning. As we continue, we'll explore even more astonishing moments. Events so incredible they seem like fiction, yet they changed the course of history in ways most people don't even know. The true story of America is far stranger and far more inspiring than you could ever imagine. If the first part of America's story shows the sparks that ignited its independence, the second part reveals the unpredictable twists that tested the nation's resilience. These are the moments when the country faced the impossible, only to survive, and even thrive, through sheer determination, courage, and a bit of luck. One of the most unbelievable events in American history is the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. At the time, the United States was a young nation, still finding its footing on the global stage. The idea of doubling the country's size overnight seemed unthinkable. Yet, President Thomas Jefferson saw an opportunity. Napoleon Bonaparte, in desperate need of funds for war in Europe, offered to sell the entire Louisiana territory for just $15 million. Critics called it unconstitutional, risky, and even reckless. But Jefferson seized the chance. The purchase more than doubled the size of the United States, opened vast lands for settlement, and set the stage for westward expansion. Imagine living in a country that suddenly became twice as large, and realizing that this bold gamble would define its future. Westward expansion, however, came with dangers that are almost cinematic in their scale. Take the story of the Lewis and Clark expedition, commissioned to explore the newly acquired lands. Meriwether, Lewis, and William Clark faced uncharted rivers, towering mountains, harsh winters, and unknown wildlife. But perhaps the most unbelievable aspect of their journey was the relationships they forged with Native American tribes, particularly Sacagawea, a young Shoshone woman whose guidance and diplomacy saved the expedition countless times. Without her, the survival of Lewis and Clark and the knowledge they brought back might have been impossible. Their expedition reads like an epic adventure novel, yet it shaped America's understanding of its vast new territories. The War of 1812 adds another layer of unbelievable resilience to American history. Often overshadowed by other conflicts, this war was critical in defining national identity. When the British burned Washington, D.C., in 1814, it seemed the United States might collapse. Yet, amid the chaos, the defenders of Fort McHenry held strong, inspiring Francis Scott Key to write a poem that would become the national anthem. The survival of a young nation under such dire circumstances is almost miraculous, showing that even when the odds are against it, America had the ability to endure. Perhaps one of the most astonishing chapters in American history is the Civil War, a conflict so devastating that its very scale is hard to comprehend. Millions of Americans were thrown into battle, facing unimaginable suffering. Yet, within this tragedy were stories of courage that seem almost legendary. Take, for instance, the tale of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, one of the first African-American units to fight for the Union. Despite facing prejudice, underfunding, and incredible danger, these soldiers fought bravely at Fort Wagner in 1863, proving their valor and fundamentally changing perceptions of African Americans' role in society. Their bravery wasn't just symbolic, it altered the course of the war and the future of the nation. The post-war era brought both progress and unbelievable setbacks. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad in the 1860s and 1870s stands out as an engineering marvel. Thousands of workers, including immigrants from China and Europe, faced brutal conditions, treacherous mountains, and extreme weather. Yet they completed a project that connected the continent, transformed trade, and united the country in ways previously unimaginable. Imagine watching thousands of miles of track being laid through forests, deserts, and mountains, all by sheer human determination. This achievement reshaped the American landscape forever. At the same time, America witnessed moments of unexpected technological genius that would shock the world. Thomas Edison's invention of the electric light bulb in the late 19th century changed the very way people lived. Overnight, cities became alive at night, factories ran longer hours, and homes gained a new sense of possibility. The audacity of inventors like Edison and their willingness to risk failure repeatedly is a recurring theme in America's unbelievable history. It's a reminder that the shaping of a nation isn't just about battles or politics. It's about innovation that transforms society. The 20th century brought even more dramatic, history-altering events. Consider the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression that followed. Millions of Americans lost jobs, homes, and savings, yet the nation survived. What's truly unbelievable is how the government, businesses, and citizens collectively adapted to the crisis. Programs like the New Deal redefined the role of the government, reshaped the economy, and helped millions recover. The resilience and creativity of people during this period illustrate how America could endure near-total economic collapse and emerge stronger. World War II added a global dimension to America's story of the unbelievable. The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, was a shocking event that thrust the nation into total war. Within days, the United States mobilized an unprecedented military and industrial effort, producing weapons, ships, and planes at a pace the world had never seen. The ingenuity of engineers, the bravery of soldiers, and the unity of a nation in crisis is almost too incredible to believe. And within this larger war, individual acts of heroism, such as the daring missions of the Tuskegee Airmen or the sacrifices of the Navajo Code Talkers, show that ordinary Americans achieved extraordinary feats under unimaginable pressure. America's history also includes moments of social upheaval that were unbelievable in their courage and impact. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s transformed the nation in ways that were once thought impossible. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and countless unnamed activists risked imprisonment, violence, and even death to fight for justice. Sit-ins, marches, and protests demanded change in a deeply segregated society. What's shocking is not just the scale of the struggle, but the courage of ordinary citizens who, by standing together, forced a nation to confront its own conscience. These events redefined freedom and equality in America forever. Even seemingly small events can have unbelievable consequences. Take the moon landing of 1969, for example. When Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, the world watched in awe. The journey to the moon required unimaginable coordination, technological precision, and courage. What makes it unbelievable isn't just the feat itself, but that it was accomplished by humans using technology that, by today's standards, seems primitive. The moon landing inspired generations, proving that with vision and determination, Americans could achieve what once seemed impossible. Finally, the late 20th and early 21st centuries remind us that unbelievable events continue to shape the nation. From moments of political scandal that rocked public trust to acts of heroism during tragedies like 9/11, America has repeatedly faced events that tested its resilience. In every crisis, there are stories of ordinary people performing extraordinary deeds, firefighters running into danger, neighbors helping neighbors, and citizens uniting in the face of unimaginable adversity. These moments, though recent, belong to the same lineage of unbelievable events that have defined the country since its founding. In this part of our journey, we see a clear pattern. America's history is filled with moments of shock, courage, and ingenuity. Whether it's doubling the nation's territory with a single purchase, surviving civil war and economic collapse, or landing on the moon against all odds, the story of the United States is a story of people who dared to defy expectations. These events remind us that history isn't just dates and facts. It's a tapestry of human choices, risks, and moments that, taken together, create a nation unlike any other. As we move toward the conclusion, the final part will explore the lessons these unbelievable events teach us today. How did these moments shape the values, culture, and identity of America? How can understanding these events help us navigate the challenges of the present and future? History, it turns out, is not just about the past. It's a guide for what's possible when courage meets opportunity. As we've journeyed through the incredible moments that shaped America, one thing becomes crystal clear: history is far stranger and far more inspiring than fiction. From daring acts of rebellion and heroic midnight rides to groundbreaking inventions and leaps into space, these events share a common thread: ordinary people achieving the extraordinary. America was built not only on ideas but on action. It was forged through risk, courage, and the audacity to challenge the impossible. Each event we've explored, from the Boston Tea Party to the moon landing, reminds us that change doesn't come to those who wait. Change comes to those who are willing to act, to defy expectations, and to believe in a vision larger than themselves. History also teaches us that the consequences of a single decision can ripple across generations. Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase didn't just double the size of the nation. It opened doors to exploration, commerce, and opportunity that shaped the lives of millions. Harriet Tubman's courageous journeys on the Underground Railroad didn't just save lives. They helped redefine freedom itself. These events remind us that courage is contagious and that a single act of bravery can alter the course of history. But perhaps the most powerful lesson of all is this: America's story is still being written. The nation has faced unimaginable challenges, and yet, through resilience, innovation, and unity, it has endured. Today, the spirit of those who came before us, who dared to dream, to fight, and to create, lives on. Every generation inherits the responsibility to shape the future, just as those before us shaped the past. So, what can we take away from these unbelievable true events? First, that nothing is impossible when courage meets vision. Second, that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary feats. And third, that history is not just a collection of facts. It's a guide, a source of inspiration, and a reminder of the power each of us holds to make a difference. As we close this journey, remember this: the United States was built on bold choices, daring risks, and acts of courage that seemed impossible at the time. And the same potential lies within all of us today. History shows us what's possible when people refuse to accept limits, when they rise to meet challenges, and when they act with purpose. America's unbelievable events are more than stories. They are a call to action. They challenge us to be brave, to be daring, and to believe that our actions, too, can shape the future. Because the truth is, history isn't finished yet. And maybe, just maybe, the next unbelievable story starts with you.